Out front now, Sergeant Cheryl Dorsey. She's a retired LAPD sergeant and the author of a new book called The Confidence Chronicles, and Paul Martin, a criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor. Thank you both for being here this evening. Sergeant Dorsey, what's your reaction to the video that we just saw? Do you think police had reason to shoot or not?
I do, as I'm looking at it, and this is very preliminary, but I'm just putting myself in the mindset of those officers. They responded to a code 3 call, shots being fired. And I would imagine that having that man strike that young woman repeatedly and at times have that lock hit the floor might sound like, to the citizens that were in there, shots being fired. And so that was what the officers were working off of when they encountered him up on the second floor. And then we see the suspect duck out of view and behind the end of the row there. So now he's no longer in view of the officers. He kind of dictated what was going to happen. He could have certainly surrendered, threw his hands up, and at that point, it would have been over. So for me, it's tragic. My condolences to the family, but how would you know that there would be a young child behind that wall that separated them from the dressing room?
Paul, you have defended a police officer before charged with firing a weapon and missing their target. As you watch this video, what stands out most to you? What questions does it leave you with?
Well, I think the officer is correct in her evaluation of the situation. I think, it's easy for us to be armchair quarterbacks after the fact and point fingers. You have to put yourself in the position of the officer at the time of the incident. In this situation, the officer, what information did he have? He had the information that this person may be armed. He sees the victim. She sees the blood. And so an officer is allowed and is justified in using deadly physical force when they believe that this deadly physical force is necessary to save the lives of others. And so looking at it, and we just taken a preliminary view of these body cam videos, it looks like that the officer was justified, and it was just a terrible, 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 tragic mistake that another individual's life had to be taken.
So Sergeant Dorsey, our Josh Campbell also reports that just last year there was a law signed by the governor of California, and it requires the state's attorney general's office to investigate any police shootings that result in the death of an unarmed person. Now, the question is what constitutes unarmed and armed in this scenario. But given that and given what you just saw, then do you believe this officer should face charges or not?
Personally, I don't. And listen, he was armed. He had a chain with a lock on the end of it. And we saw repeatedly at other instances where he was hitting this woman. He could have killed her, hitting her in the head with a lock on the end of a chain. And so he was armed. He had a weapon. And the officers did an amazing job of communicating tactically as they were going in there. They tried to find out very quickly, are there any patrons upstairs? Is there anybody else up there, any employees, any customers? And so they did their level best to try to be sure that they were only going to encounter the suspect and maybe the victim, which is what happened. And so I don't find fault with anything that the officers did. I believe that there will probably be some recompense for the family because this young girl lost her life, but how would you know she was there?
Paul, this shooting happened just days after the verdict in the Kim Potter trial. Potter, of course, is that former Minnesota police officer convicted of both counts of manslaughter and the killing of 20-year-old Dante Wright in April. Then Officer Potter had claimed she mistook her gun for a taser. What do you make of that verdict and, the element of should have known, right? And this situation that we're seeing here?
Well, there's no way the officer would have known that there was a young lady in the dressing room. So I don't see the similarities in that respect. But I do say this. This is a situation where the body cam video is going to be very helpful to possibly exonerate the officers from any wrongdoing. And so this is another example of how body cam video also supports law enforcement officials. It also provides some accountability. Listen, people were concerned. They were worried, how could this young lady be killed? And the police department were quick. They were quick about getting this video out to the public, showing some transparency, so whatever questions that were lingering can be decided by the individuals right now.
Sergeant Dorsey, thank you very much. Paul Martin, thank you. Good to have you both.